Today's show is sponsored by the ABV Network Merchandise Shop. Check out our large assortment of logo merch and our lifestyle collection as well. Just head over to abvnetwork.com and click on Shop. We are also sponsored by The Bar to Go. The Bar to Go offers a fully customizable carrying case that allows you to take your favorite distilled spirits or cocktail ingredients with you. Whether you're looking for yourself, a customized gift, or logo items for your business or event, The Bar to Go can help. Check them out at thebar2go.com. Use the number 2 when you type out The Bar to Go. Did you know Neely Family Distillery now ships its popular distilled spirits directly to you? To order, simply call 859-394-3258. Tell them the ABV Network sent you. Finally, we are sponsored by the upcoming ABV Barrel Shop, a new liquor store experience coming to St. Louis, Missouri. The ABV Barrel Shop will serve as home to the ABV Network and will be owned and operated by Steve Akeley, Jim Fosnot, and Scott Creighton, a.k.a. the Barrel Buddies. To learn more about the investment opportunities in this new venture, listen to the ad at the end of this podcast. And now, on to the show. Hello, everybody. This is Steve Akeley, and on vacation and on the weekends, we're going to do some of our best of stuff, and pulled a couple old ones here for the first weekend that we're on vacation. So they both involve Adam Stumpf. So the first one that introducing today is Adam's first show ever. So this was really my opportunity to get to know Adam a little bit. I really didn't know him that much before we started doing things with him with the ABV Network. I knew who he was. I knew his distillery. I had met him. I had talked to him, but we weren't necessarily really friends. I've never worked together. Never talked about business or anything like that in terms of, how we could work together. But once I kind of got this thing going, confident enough to start talking to some folks about coming on the shows and stuff like that, Adam was one of the early people I reached out to. And this is the first time that he ever came on the Bourbon Daily. I think you're going to enjoy it. Check it out.
Let's drink.
Welcome to the Bourbon Daily, the podcast about everything bourbon delivered to you Monday through Friday every week. Today on the show, we'll be talking to Adam Stumpf of Stumpy's Spirits Distillery in Columbia, Illinois. My name is Renee Howe. Please join me in welcoming my co-host, Steve Akeley and Gail the Snail, along with our special guest, Adam Stumpf.
Hey, gang, what's up?
What's going on? Guys.
Hey, guys.
Wow, so cool. Adam, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good. I've got a glass of bourbon by my side, so I am good to go.
Excellent. I'm excited to have Adam on today because he owns the distillery that is closest to my house. So that's so cool. Worst case scenario, I could walk. I could walk if I had to.
There's that Mississippi River in between.
Yeah, I could walk across the bridge. Sure.
There you go.
Yeah, it's no big deal. Like if it came to that, I could. I mean, yeah. I mean, I'm not going to, but I could. And we're excited here too. We have Gail the Snail on with us. How about that?
Some don't want to overshadow Adam, but Gail the Snail. Go on.
I don't normally hear from the audience, but I do when we have Gail the Snail on because I get all this fan mail of how great she is, have her on more shows, and I'm like, I'd like to, but her schedule doesn't really work with ours usually. But this time it happened to do so. Yeah.
I used sick day today, and I'm not sick, so whatever. I love you.
So suck it.
Yeah, suck it. You, Steve. Off early.
I have to get out that horn a lot when Gail is on. Yeah, that gets worn out. I have to pay for that every time I use it, and that really breaks the bank account. But, I mean, we got to have this. I mean, Adam's going to have his whole family listening. I can't have that make the air.
Yeah.
Right.
Everybody he knows will be listening to this. Please.
Columbia, Illinois.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, you know what we like to do? When the first time we have someone on a show, we like to get to know them on a personal basis. So, Adam, you haven't been on a show before, so we'd like to find out a little bit about you. So tell us about yourself.
Oh, my goodness. Born and raised right across the river from you, Steve, in Columbia, Illinois. Literally probably spent, my entire life here, except the 4 years I spent in wonderful Rolla, Missouri for college.
That means he's smart, by the way, ladies.
That means I drank a lot.
They do drink a lot down there, but there's nobody dumb that's just skating by at Rolla. Yeah.
No, but raised here in Columbia, grew up on the farm, spent pretty well, at least the vast majority of the days at the farm doing, helping and all that fun stuff. Then went to school down in Rolla for a bit, and then after school, actually ended up working at Anheuser-Busch for about 4 years, and then ended up doing this distillery thing. So that is kind of in a nutshell, the big events. And unfortunately, my lovely wife Laura can't join us tonight, but I've been dating her since, it's been since 8th grade. So we've been married for 5 years. Yeah, kind of crazy. Yeah. Welcome to small town Illinois, right?
You found a good one, and you're like, "This is it."
Oh, yeah.
I can't let her go.
Right, that's it. Right. Yeah, right after we got married, I pitched the idea of a distillery. That way, we made sure we get her locked down before she runs away.
Oh, that's cool. Very cool. So, in your time at Rolla, you studied to be an engineer. I would have to assume in Rolla, that's what everybody is studying, right?
Yeah, mechanical engineer by education. So pipes, valves, fittings, the equipment, that's my world. Wish I would have paid more attention in chemistry class, though, that's for sure.
Coming handy right about now, huh?
Right.
Yes, right.
Right. So, and you said you grew up on a farm, so tell us a little bit about the farm.
Yeah, so the farm has been in my family, God, forever. It seems like it's kind of crazy. We're the 8th generation on our family farm here in Columbia.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of a wild story, though, kind of a wild 8 generations, because the farm was originally purchased by my mom's family in 1866. It's in my mom's family for 3 generations, and then my mom's family sold it to my dad's family in 1904. Then 80 years later, my mom and dad get married. So kind of a wild story.
Bring it all back together then, yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like it's meant to be. We've got a little land tree, we call it, sketched out here at the distillery. We always have to tell people that it's a land tree, because if it were a family tree, then some of the arrows on there would get real confusing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, and it's a cool place. It's literally one of those self-contained things where everything that he needs is there. He's got a water source. He obviously growing the crops. He's got the space for that he needs in terms of production and aging. So it's really a cool thing that he's got going on there for sure. Great little place to visit.
Well, thank you very much. We appreciate that.
Yeah, so if you're certainly in the St. Louis area, you definitely want to make it by there. It's so crazy, though. You drive over there, and you're like driving through subdivisions. It's like, is there going to be a distillery back here at some point? And then you finally get through, and there's the farm. So, yeah.
Yes, it is crazy.
Yeah. So at any point, did the family own like more land? Obviously, someone that land was probably farmland, too, that subdivision that kind of you cut through to get there. I assume, was that your family's or someone else's?
It was someone else's family's. This is really an interesting area, because, we literally, the front door of the distillery is about 23 minutes away from Busch Stadium in downtown St. Louis. So just Columbia in general has always been historically, and even the towns surrounding Columbia, historically been like agricultural communities. As people, I guess really as the boomers started to grow up, Columbia became a bit of a bedroom community as people started to commuting to work. So a bit of a bedroom community to St. Louis, and then whenever you saw a lot of building happening in the 90s and 2000s, that's when you saw a lot of farm ground getting sold, and some of those subdivisions like the one you're mentioning start to pop up. Mm-hmm. Our family, I'm trying to think, I don't think we've sold any ground. It's pretty much all been farmland ever since I guess the inception of the farm way back when in the mid 1800s. But yeah, the farm's kind of grown. It's a pretty wild thing. My grandpa took over the farm when he was 15 years old. Had to drop out of school because his father passed away. So somebody had to do the farming duties, and it was grandpa. My dad and my uncle took it over from my grandpa in the mid 80s. And then they've really been kind of growing the farm ever since. The farm here, the main farm is not as big as what they're farming, but as a lot of other farmers rent out their ground, they're farming probably close to 4,000 acres or so right now. So it definitely keeps them busy 7 days a week.
I guess.
Wow.
And what kind of crops do you have on the farm?
The traditional ones for sure for any of the Midwestern guys. So we do corn, of course, got to do corn.
Right.
We do a lot of soft red winter wheat, more than probably most people around here. Wheat's just kind of an interesting thing. We use the straw as well, so kind of get to double use some things there. And then we do soybeans, and then quite a bit of alfalfa as well. And then so that's kind of the conventional farming piece of it. Then for the distillery, we have actually added 6-row barley, 2-row barley, and rye into the rotation.
Wow.
So yeah. Those are pretty challenging because obviously grain's not typically grown down here around St. Louis. So we've spent a few years trying to find varieties that perform well both in the field and the distillery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everything's an experiment. So, I end up asking a lot of questions, but we always like our co-hosts here to ask too. So, Renee, we'll start with you, and then Gail, we'll have you ask a question here too in a second.
What's the funniest thing that's happened at the distillery? Like, just the funniest thing that you actually, every time you think about it, you laugh.
I do, and I have customers that come in and still reference this. So we get some really crazy tours every once in a while, and we always try to make the tour experiential. Like we're either like making a mash or we're distilling or something. So the tour can taste alcohol coming like right off the still. White dog. We've got this tank of alcohol that has just been run off the still. It was we were in a really high proof bourbon. We were like up in the 150s with it when it came off the still, and there was probably close to 200 gallons of it sitting in this tank, and it was crystal clear, right? Looked just like water.
Yeah.
Open up the spirit safe and letting everybody take a whiff. I'm like, oh my god, all this alcohol. And then he goes, "There's nothing in this tank," and he shoved literally his whole arm, almost up to his armpit, into my bourbon before he realized it. Yeah, pulls it out, and then it was a wild thing. So that was hilarious. And so many people, like, that was a big tour too. So there were probably 25 people on that tour. So now anytime any of those folks come back, hey, do you remember that time my buddy stuck his bourbon in your...
You're like, yeah, I do remember.
Yeah, no, I remember. It tasted like Old Spice when he was done. But
Andrew Webrink would buy that. He loves Old Spice.
Oh, yeah.
That's a friend of ours. Yeah, he would definitely buy that.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Gail, how about you? Now you have to have a question here. You've probably been working on this a while. Here we go.
I've been pondering and racking my brain to ask the expert a question. All right. You do like sourcing work for other companies, making their distilled spirits and stuff for them.
Correct.
So can you tell us about that, please? Maybe, please?
Yeah, it is.
Please.
Yeah.
Well, only since you asked nicely, but
yeah.
It's
Canadian.
Christmas is coming. Yeah, I have to be nice.
Santa's watching.
It's sourcing is kind of an interesting thing, and we have some really great contract clients that we work with right now. Spread all over, several in Illinois, a couple in Missouri, all kinds of fun stuff. Mostly local stuff, though. But actually talking to some folks up in Canada and Georgia as well. But contracting is an interesting thing in craft distilling, especially the way we've kind of structured the distillery. My wife and I literally went to the bank with a piece of paper with all of our assets listed on it. And said, how big of a loan can we get to make this happen? So we were totally bootstrapped. So our payment to the bank is the same every single day or every single month, regardless of if the equipment is running or not. So contracting has kind of been one of those things where it fills some of the dead time in the still. So we're able to provide a pretty unique contract, I feel like. We're not... MGP just doling out a bunch of standard barrels or whatever, or any of those guys. We don't have any crazy minimums. There's some contract clients that we have where they have literally brought us their organically grown grain. We've turned it into an organic vodka here at the distillery, and they come down and run the still and package and everything like that. So it's been really cool, and just to meet other people and kind of learn about I guess that aspect of the business that we didn't really initially build into our business plan.
Right.
But it's kind of become a really important point in our business. It kind of differentiates us, I guess, and certainly puts at least some of our reach into markets that we weren't previously in.
Yeah, that is cool stuff. All right. Well, on this show, like every other one on the network, we drink. What is everyone drinking tonight? We'll start with our guest. Adam, what are you drinking, man?
Oh, man. So I have got... a new bourbon that we are actually releasing here in 2 days. It is, I'm going to say it while I'm sober here. It is a bourbon beer barrel finish bourbon. It's a lot of B's to keep track of. So we of course made it here. We aged our bourbon. We dumped a bourbon barrel out. sent that barrel down to Stubborn German Brewery. It's a little craft brewery 10 minutes south of us here. Chris made some killer beer, aged it in this barrel. This one had a beer that he called, it's a really clever name. He called it his morning wood-aged stout. It was a chocolate coffee stout.
It's a fantastic name.
That's traits, by the way. No. But it had chocolate coffee stout in it. Chris cellared that thing for a few months, dumped the barrel out, kegged the beer up, brought the empty barrel back up to the distillery, and we took a totally finished bourbon, dumped it into that ex-bourbon, ex-beer barrel at that point, and finished it off for about 9 months or so in that thing. And it just picked up. I mean, it's got chocolate and coffee on the nose and all kinds of cool stuff going on.
Very
cool. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That one sounds like it's worth trying. All right.
Yeah.
Gail the Snail, what are you drinking there?
Okay. So I'm a beer person.
Sure.
But just hear me out. It's from Against the Grain from Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay, I'm liking that.
Right?
Yeah.
It's called London Balling.
Okay.
And it's bourbon barrel aged English style barley wine.
Wow, well, that counts. Yeah, we allow bourbon barrel aged beers on here. Yeah.
Good stuff, and I might be drunk right now.
good.
Yes, that's the Gail we want.
Like that.
Yeah. All right, Nene, what are you drinking?
I am drinking some Baby Saz.
Oh, wow! I almost grabbed that. I've got my Baby Saz.
I don't know if I'll get a cork pop off
Right,
this
here we
guy.
go. Let's see what we got.
Yes!
That was not bad. That was not bad.
Gail loved it. That's all that matters.
I've got some Ocean here, so here we go. I have not opened this. I just found this in the basement here. This is Voyage 9. Voyage 9.
Okay.
Here we go. Cork pop. Let's see if I can beat Renee. Here we go. Adam, listen closely.
Certainly higher pitch.
No, Gail didn't even flinch.
That was fantastic. I think that may have been my best cork pop ever. Clearly, I won that. Clearly. I mean, if there's justice in the world, I won that thing. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to ask Adam about his business, Stumpy's. And we will do that in just a few. We'll talk to you soon. Hello, this is Steve Akeley of the ABV Network. Let's talk about the people who make this show happen. First up is Leatherwood Distillery in Pleasant View, Tennessee. Company founder Andy Lang started distilling as a hobby while serving his country as an elite Green Beret. Andy distilled all over the world during his time in the military and brought this passion back to him in the U.S. when he returned home. A visit to Leatherwood combines Andy Lang's unique distilled spirits and a museum of artifacts from his time serving the U.S. Share a drink with a fallen soldier at their bar where you can grab an acrylic bio off the wall that celebrates the individuals who gave the ultimate sacrifice to protect his or her country. They will also ship their distilled spirits directly to you, so check them out at leatherwooddistillery.com. We are also sponsored by Moonshine University. This longtime partner for the ABV Network helps educate individuals looking to get into the distilled spirits business, service industry employees looking to expand their knowledge, and individuals simply wanting to know more about the process and history of the spirits industry. In 2017, I completed my Executive Bourbon Steward certification at Moonshine University, and it's something I continuously draw upon and connect with fellow graduates. Check out their full listing of classes, including Executive Bourbon Steward certification, production classes, and more at moonshineuniversity.com. Okay, let's talk about Neely Family Distillery. In 2018, I met Royce Neely at an industry event. He started appearing on our shows, and we became friends during my frequent visits to Kentucky. Today, he's leading the way for young distillers making their mark on the bourbon industry. A visit to Neely Family Distillery combines family history, a look at what makes their products unique, and of course a tasting through their whiskeys, moonshines, and creams. Check them out at neelyfamilydistillery.com and visit them in Sparta, Kentucky. All right, back to the show.
This is Matt Rainey, and you are listening to the Bourbon Daily. One day when I grow up, I'm going to grow a big boy beard, just like Colonel Steve.
Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we've got Adam on the show from Stumpy Spirits Distillery in Columbia, Illinois.
Yes, right across the river from Oakville, which is where I live. Yes, incredible. All right. So the first question we want to ask Adam is, just kind of tell us about the company, and then you kind of get into, also when and how you got started. Why you started doing this, and when you started doing it as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are, Stumpy Spirits is one of the few farm-based distilleries in the country, and farm-based in the sense that we grow literally every kernel of grain that we put in a bottle. There are a lot of distilleries that maybe grow a portion. We've really tinkered around for the last 3 years finding varieties that perform well, all across our business, both in the field and the distillery. So we're totally farm-based distillery, corn, wheat, barley, and rye. And right now we're producing, we do a vodka. We do a couple different flavored vodkas, and I know people hear flavored vodka and that turns them off, but we've done true fruit infusions. We've collaborated with a local orchard to actually distill the vodka through that fresh cut up fruit. We, of course, do our bourbon. We've got a wheat whiskey that's available right now and a couple different flavored whiskeys. They're basically flavored moonshines, flavored White Dog.
Mm-hmm.
We've got to have something for our beer drinkers down here in Southern Illinois, of course. Low proof and sweet. That's what people like. No. We've also got a lot of fun project aging as well in the back. So we've really kind of tried to position our production capacity to be very focused on brown goods. So we've got all kinds of different bourbons going. We've got a high rye bourbon back there along with our normal wheated bourbon. We've got a few different versions of rye whiskey going. We've got American single malt, all made with barley that we've grown here in Columbia and have had malted and then shipped back to the distillery so we could run that single malt. And we even got a smoked single malt going, so kind of our take on a coastal Scotch, but a bit different. So that's kind of what we are right now. Right now we are selling and distributing throughout the state of Illinois and Missouri as well, mostly in the St. Louis area. Definitely the focus, since that is home base, of course. And where, why, how we got started. So a lot of little things kind of added up to opening this distillery. It really did kind of all start in Rolla, Missouri, down there at school. There's nothing to do in Rolla other than school and drink. That is quite literally it.
Right.
So,
small town.
Lived in a house with 3 other guys. We're standing around watching the Cardinals, of course, drinking, I'm pretty sure, Pabst Blue Ribbon, not Budweiser. We didn't have the wallet to afford Budweiser, but Pabst was definitely price range. So we were drinking some PBR and kind of got on the conversation of like, man, people have been making booze for tens of thousands of years. Like, this can't be that difficult. So, a little bit of quick Google foo told us that we could make alcohol with things that we could buy from Walmart. So literally go down to the Rolla Walmart, and man, we were going to make honey mead. That's what we were going to make a honey wine. So we buy honey and baker's yeast, and it was, all the stuff we bought. Bring it back to the house, make it literally fermented in a jug that goes in your refrigerator for water. So we're like, hey, that looks like a good fermentation tank. Threw it under the counter for about a week, pulled it out, tasted it, and it was probably the worst stuff I've ever put in my mouth. It was absolutely horrible. We're like, okay, we can't make this stuff anymore. So we went on to making beer then. Being engineering kids, we kind of nerded out on the making of beer. So we made a beer stand that, was temperature controlled, turned the pumps on and off, and it was to the point where it would basically, we'd put all the ingredients in, it would make a batch of beer for us, and we'd get hammered. So it was the best of both worlds. We were replenishing the stock as we were drinking it, so it was a good thing. So fast forward a little bit. After college, I ended up taking a job with Anheuser-Busch. Spent 4 years of my career there. And unfortunately, I wasn't in the brewing department, but by golly, I learned how to put beer in a bottle. But by that point, I had kind of the mashing and fermenting piece of the business down pat. While I was at Anheuser-Busch, I bought a little 5-gallon moonshine still off of eBay that we've actually got sitting on the shelf up here at the distillery. And I bought it on eBay, so thought that for sure, like, there is going to be an ATF agent that shows up with the still in the front yard. So it was going to be for a man cave decoration, if that ever happened, by the way. But bought that little still, and man, I bet we ran close to 1,000 batches off that still. Just absolutely fell in love with the process of distilling and learning about it. There's really no replacing that romance you get when you see that first drip coming off the condenser, no matter if it's a little 5-gallon still running on a turkey fryer burner or a 500-gallon pot in the back here. It's always that first drip that gets you. As I was running that still and kind of getting acquainted with distilling, I went back to school to get my MBA here in St. Louis, and there was an entrepreneurship class. That's kind of where we developed the original business plan and all that stuff. And at some point, we decided that it was a good idea, at least a good enough idea, where there's that thick, bold line between being a good idea for school and a good idea for real life. At some point, we decided that, what, I think we can make this work. Let's try it. So in December of 2014, the wonderful legal department at Anheuser-Busch said, "Hey, we heard you're opening a distillery. Pick one or the other." Kindly said, "Thank you very much for your time," and came onto the distillery 7 days a week then. So basically from December of 14, we spent the entire time doing the build-out. We did all the setup and everything ourselves. Got fully licensed by the TTB in the state and the county in April of 15. And spent from April of 15 to July of 15 kind of tweaking everything and opened our doors to the public in July of 2015 and have kind of been going really nonstop ever since. We're actually on our third distillation system since July of 15. So it's been a little bit of equipment bingo here, but all crazy.
Yeah, that is crazy. So, Adam, how did you learn all this then? So you're a guy. I mean, you worked at a brewery, but you weren't on the production side. How do you pick up all this? Do you go somewhere else and work with another distiller, shadowing them? Do you just learn? Read stuff online? How does all this happen for you?
In short, Google. No, no, I'm joking. So we did a lot of it was honestly self-taught. We had at least having prior knowledge and being in the alcohol production industry, even though it was beer, our first two steps are basically, mashing a beer and then fermenting that beer out. So I had that down pat from just kind of homebrewing days or whatever, but distilling is a whole new aspect because you take this kind of known thing of making a beer, you're making a certain style beer, so you're shooting for a certain gravity, use this water profile, use this yeast strain, this type of hop, all that type of stuff. Well, you go through that process, albeit the hops, but then you add this element of distilling into it, which is kind of where, in my mind, where art and science collide a little bit. So, running the still, the type of alcohol changes, the proof changes, the flavor changes, the aroma changes, and so does the texture of the alcohol. So how the heck do we decide what to keep and what to throw away? So a lot of it was self-taught on that little 5-gallon still. Really, we'd run, tiny little like 1 or 2 liter samples, but we would collect, 50 mil samples from the first drop off to the last drop off and decide what flavor do we like, what don't we like. So that's kind of how we, developed a lot of the recipes and really just learned to distill and that type of thing. Visited quite a few craft distilleries. Sadly enough, I have not visited too many major production facilities yet. But the craft facilities are really cool. I mean, you get to go in and see, really what happens. It's not it's not like that they're bringing out the fine china. You get to see the day-to-day, like, oh, this is the actual still that someone runs to make this brand and all that type of stuff. So really cool.
Absolutely.
So you did touch on it a bit, but can you give us a little bit of information on your product lineup?
Yeah, absolutely. So we run a few different products. The company itself, we branded as Stumpy Spirits Distillery. The reason we chose Stumpy Spirits as a name is because of our last name. My wife and I, being the 8th generation on our family farm, we wanted to somehow tie in our family to this thing because, without them, we wouldn't be able to do it. So our last name is Stumpf. So pretty much every guy in our family has been called Stumpy at some point in their life. I'm not 5 foot nothing, missing any digits, anything like that. But that's kind of where Stumpy came from. Although my dad is missing a finger, so I guess he is actually Stumpy. So we've got Stumpy Spirits as the overall brand. And then for our vodka line, so we do, like I said, a traditional all-corn vodka. And then we do a couple different flavored vodkas, just a peach and a green apple. Both are made with local fruit. We chose the name Unbroken for that vodka. The reason we chose Unbroken is to kind of describe our entire process, really. It is unbroken from start to finish. So we are literally the people putting the seed in the ground, fostering the growth of that seed, harvesting it, cleaning it, mill, mash, ferment, the whole 9 yards, all the way through from putting that kernel grain in the dirt to putting it in a bottle. So that's kind of where Unbroken came from for the vodka line. Obviously vodka and whiskey being different products, we decided, they probably should be branded differently. So we don't want to hold everything under the Stumpy's name or this Unbroken name. Let's differentiate that a bit. We chose the name Old Monroe for our American whiskey lines, basically, our bourbon, our wheat whiskey, our rye whiskey, as well as our different flavored whiskeys. Reason we chose Old Monroe, people from this area might tell you it's because, you're in Monroe County, Illinois, so that makes a lot of sense, of course. The reason we actually chose that name is because on Columbia's Main Street, we're a little town of 10,000 people, there's this building they call the Old Distillery Center sitting there. And in that little distillery center, there's little boutiques and shops, and the top is some like nice loft apartments, that type of thing. But in the 1930s, right after the repeal, they made Old Monroe Bourbon there. So we kind of resurrected a dead name there. And then so that's kind of everything we have out right now. We are working on a new brand for some different single malt projects we have coming out, and those types of things. They will all be branded under the Farm Craft label.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So those are your future offerings?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a bunch of fun stuff going on. We really didn't know how barley was going to yield down here in Southern Illinois. So we planted a bunch of barley and harvested it, and we had way more barley than we really knew what to do with. So we got malted, and we are having all kinds of fun with doing some different single malt projects, tinkering around with different bourbon recipes and all that type of stuff. But a lot of those single malt projects are going to get kind of wrapped into that Farm Craft label.
Oh, very cool.
You've got a lot of things going on. If you ever need the Colonel Steve name, just let me know. You can put that on a product. No problem.
Yeah, absolutely. I like it. A nice ring to it.
Yeah, the Colonel Steve. Yeah, that's nice.
Do I go now? I hate going. I want to ask you a question.
I'll try to answer.
This is why we love Gail. This is the
I want to
stuff
ask
we
you
love.
a question, Adam. Where did you get your shirt?
I like that shirt a lot. That's a good shirt.
Yeah.
Okay, Gail.
Okay. So, I feel like I'm going to take ownership because I am popular. Some our audience, my audience, whatever, their audience, our audience, loves visiting distilleries because it's fun. It is. Everyone should do it. So, could you maybe please tell us what it's like to visit Stumpy's? Because it's amazing already.
For sure. So honestly, lately it's been a bit crazy, and over the last couple months, it's definitely changed. A couple months ago, we literally cut down a couple of walls here in the distillery with a chainsaw. It gets that wild every once in a while.
Wow.
We expanded our conference room, or we expanded our tasting room into our what was called a conference room on our original architectural drawings. Of course, thinking that we're going to be so fancy and professional that we're going to have conferences in this conference room and meet with retailers and wholesalers and all this fun stuff. That conference room was never once conferred in, by the way. It just became an oversized junk closet. So we cut into that. So we've got a nice big tasting bar right now. We do tours and tastings at the distillery. We also do full bottle sales. My wife, who I also call our chief apparel officer, has got this place packed with all the swag you can possibly imagine. So we come
love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great branding for honestly the entire brand, and the quality of things that she has put in the store for the price she's put them at is a really good bargain, and it's really a nice add-on with the bottles that we do offer here. We sell everything that we make here at the distillery. We're open Thursday through Sunday, 1 to 5, and we run 3 tours every single day. We just start them at 2, 3, and 4 o'clock. So when people come in and do the tour, that's kind of been the craziest thing lately. I think we run a pretty cool tour package. So for $10, or if you do our Groupon, it's 2 people for $15. You get a really cool little branded tasting glass, this little 6-ounce snifter that I'm actually drinking out of right now. You get to take that home with you. You get to try 6 of our products in that snifter. Laura will mix you up an incredible mixed drink of your choosing with whichever of our products you like the best at the end of the tasting session. And then after you're good and liquored up, then we'll go on the tour because I'm much more tolerable after you've had alcohol.
Your personality just comes right out when everything's liquored up.
Exactly right. Especially if I get to sample too.
Yeah.
But no, then we go on a full tour of the back. Everything happens in one room back there, literally from this old antique grain cleaner we've got. So you get to see from when the dirty grain comes in off the farm all the way through the entire production process, not only mashing, milling, fermenting, distilling, but also all of our barrels are right there right now, and our bottling line is all in that one room. So it's kind of a one-stop shop for a tour.
Yeah,
Awesome.
very cool.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
So, Adam, what does the future hold for both you personally as well as Stumpy's?
Oh, God. Man, me personally, probably drinking a lot more whiskey.
Okay, let's go.
It's definitely quality assurance at this point,
Sure.
of course. But,
That's your job. I mean,
Yeah.
It is.
Your livelihood.
Yes. But no, we've got a lot of fun projects in the works here at the distillery. So the biggest one right now, probably the most immediate, is that we're actually getting ready to open up what I believe is going to be the St. Louis area's first malt house since the repeal of Prohibition. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, we grow our own barley, we clean it, and then we ship it all the way up to Michigan or out to Indiana, get that barley malted, and ship it all the way back to the distillery. So we've decided, you know what, we're going to move forward with kind of producing our own malt on site. So it's really cool that it's going to give us that ability to stay entirely single sourced. Our hands are going to be the only ones touching that product from when it goes in the ground to when it goes in the bottle. But also it gives us a little bit of latitude in innovation. So of course we can do all these different styles of barley malt and all this fun stuff. But we can also tinker around with other grains. So we're a 4-grain distillery. One of the projects I really am looking forward to is doing a malted version of our bourbon. Yeah. So a really high wheat bourbon right now. So it's only 60% corn, 30% wheat, and 10% barley malt. I want to do 60% corn malt, 30% wheat malt, and then 10% barley malt. So just kind of do those fun different variations. So,
yeah, that'd be crazy. I want to try that one. Get on that.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
So, you need to do it now.
Yeah.
Right.
Why are we even talking? Get on this.
Figure this out.
Yeah, so I'm hoping by mid-January of 2018, we should be up and rolling malting our first batch. We've got a grain bin full of all the barley we harvested in June, so I'm going to have to start chewing through it before June anyway. So that's definitely the most immediate project. Another big project that we're working on, so this past March 2017, we upsized our equipment. We bumped up to a 1,000-gallon mash tun. We run 2 1,000-gallon mashes per week on it, and we run those 2 mashes per week through a 500-gallon pot still. So our pot column hybrid. Right now we're laying down probably about 3 barrels per week, full-size barrels that is. We've actually designed our own continuous column that's going to be super flexible. Getting that column built right now, so hopefully by Q3 of 2018 we'll have that column in place. And laying down somewhere around about 12 barrels per week or so. And the reason we're doing that is because, as a distillery, to start an aged whiskey program, if you're starting from day zero, either you're going to go and source that whiskey from MGP or Heaven Hill or one of the other big craft guys, buy their barrels, blend them together, and bottle them as your own product, or if you've got a bunch of investors, maybe you could toss all that whiskey in a 53-gallon barrel and let it sit for 4 years and just ride that out. Since we were bootstrapped, we're like, all right, we've got to get whiskey out sooner. So we aged in small 15-gallon barrels. The smaller the barrel, the theory being the faster the whiskey ages. Well, the thing that we've noticed is that the flavor profile of the whiskey coming out of those 15-gallon barrels is definitely different than the flavor profile coming out of the larger 53-gallon barrels or the standard barrels. So we're right now in the process of kind of migrating. We've migrated out of 15s into a 30-gallon barrel, kind of an intermediate size. And then we're moving solely into 53s. And once we get into those 53s, we will not be touching that whiskey for a minimum of 4 years.
Yeah.
So the increased capacity is really required, I guess, whenever you're talking about building up 4 years worth of inventory to sit on. So just trying to really figure out what we're going to be when we grow up. Do we want to be kind of a small craft player and play right here in our home market, or do we want to become more of a regional multi-state brand? So trying to at least position ourselves to possibly play in that regional multi-state area if we're able to in the future.
So is it just you and Laura that works for this company right now? I mean, you might get some help from time to time, family and that. I know that maybe in the gift shop and things like that. But I see you working, behind the scenes, and I see her up front in the gift shop when I go there. Is it just you two?
I would like to. So I mean, it's Laura and I for sure, almost every single day, literally 7 days a week. Laura runs front of house, I run back of house. My little brother Andrew helps me out almost every day in the back, either making mash, distilling, whatever. It just takes multiple hands sometimes. Mm-hmm. And then we've actually just hired our first paid employee. I'm really, really excited about that. We've hired Rachel. So Rachel's our brand ambassador. The thing that we found out is, in Illinois, we're not able to self-distribute in any regard whatsoever. So we have to move through the 3-tier system. So we have to sell our products to a wholesaler who then sells to the retail account. Well, for example, our wholesaler sells Jack Daniels and Tito's and those types of things.
Right.
So they carry a book of, literally 15,000 different SKUs. So sometimes Old Monroe, bourbon, and unbroken vodka kind of get pushed to the back burner. So Rachel's come on now, and she's really been a big driving force behind introducing accounts to the company, the brand, what we're all about, and then actually doing sips to lips, doing those tastings, getting out in the market, doing the really important things about building the brand organically.
Yeah, because I'm amazed. I'm starting to really see your product everywhere now. So I take a look at the sales side of it. I'm taking a look at production side and all the other things of managing the business, and the equipment. You've been involved in all of that, and then of course you're running a farm there too. I have to think maybe you guys are vampires.
Yeah.
Did I just stumble onto this? That you two are actually vampires?
Yeah. No. Cover my mouth while I'm talking.
That's why Laura's not available.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's not.
She's busy replenishing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
I thought something was up there. I mean, yeah, it's amazing what you've been able to accomplish with just the two of you. Now I'm glad to hear that you guys are expanding, getting a little help, and hopefully we just see more good things from you.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's a really exciting time. We feel like we're getting to that point where, if you draw out a new business from day one to day infinity, you've got the hockey stick built in there. I feel like we're finally approaching the light at the end of the tunnel of getting through that flat part and hopefully to the stick part pretty soon.
Right. Very cool. All right. Well, let's talk about where we can find. I know the audience is excited about, learning more about you after hearing all this. So what do they need to do and where do they need to go?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I kind of touched on earlier, we are distributed throughout Missouri and Illinois. The distribution network we have chosen to go through is kind of one of the larger distribution networks. So we're distributed by Breakthrough Beverage in Illinois and Major Brands in Missouri. So literally available to any retail account to purchase. So if you don't see us in your favorite account and you're in one of those states, feel free to ask for us because they definitely purchase us. As far as current accounts distributed in, we're probably in, I would put us around 600 accounts right now. If you picture Illinois, kind of the southern half of Illinois, with a big focus on the Metro East area of St. Louis, and then in Missouri, definitely right in that St. Louis area, and kind of working our way out towards some of the other areas through central Missouri and southern Missouri, those types of things too. So as far as big retail accounts, where you can find our bottles, Total Wine, if you're in the area, Randall's, Friar Tuck's, the Wine and Cheese Place, those types of areas, or those types of accounts. And then in Illinois, a lot of the local bars and restaurants as well. Really trying to grow that business organically on premise is one of the focuses of ours.
Are you on social media?
Oh my gosh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. What are those?
Yeah. My wife, Laura, our Chief Apparel Officer, is also our Chief Social Media Officer.
Okay, perfect.
totally up to date on Stumpy Spirits. You can check us out on Instagram or Facebook.
Okay.
StumpySpirits.com as well. We've actually got a product locator on there, and you can interact with us
Excellent,
at the website as well.
Absolutely. Sounds good. All right, Gail, how about you? Where can people find you?
Okay. I'm on Instagram, and I, honest to God, just followed Stumpy Spirits. Like, I'm kind of rude.
Right
I
now.
did as he was talking. I did it. It's still up.
Yeah,
Well,
that's going to be big for them. Now
did
that
it.
she's a trendsetter, so now that she's followed you, yeah.
They almost have 2,000 followers. So
Wow.
what?
Oh, yeah. It's about ready to explode now, so yeah.
I'm ready. It will happen.
Get ready.
I only do Instagram because I'm too belligerent on Facebook. So I'm just going to give you my Instagram.
Adam, do not interact with her on Facebook. She will cut to the bone. So yeah, do not interact with her.
I'm deleting that friend request.
It's bad. So on Instagram, you can follow me, and it is my actual name, kind of. Gail is my name. So Gail, Gail, because my mom hates me. Gail nail. And also, but I need to come back to it because I've been really lazy, but please follow the Drunken Pentaveret. I can pronounce it this time.
Yeah.
It's been ignoring it, but kind of also my own because I'm just kind of lazy.
Yeah, well, your episode is out there too, so if people haven't listened to that, you are on episode 7, which is the current one, and 8, which was released on Thanksgiving Day. So for those of you that are listening to this show, here we are, December 4th. Go back to Thanksgiving Day. The Drunken Pentaveret, episode number 8, Gail is on there, and she is lit and belligerent and all those things that we love about her.
And all the good stuff.
Yeah.
Get out.
Yeah. All right. Nene, how about you? Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram at Renee_M_H. You can also find me at Bourbon Zeppelin on Instagram.
All right. For me, I'm an easy guy to find. I am at Steve Akeley on Instagram or Twitter. Check out my website, steveakeley.com. Renee, anything else to say before we get out of here?
I just want to remind everyone that they love us. They want to give us a 5-star review and include a comment. It really helps in the marketing of the show, and your feedback really helps motivate us and give the show direction.
Adam, thanks, man. We really appreciate you
Thanks
joining us.
Thanks so much.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. It's been fun.
Absolutely. Take care, everybody. We'll have a brand new show for you tomorrow. Looking forward to that. Until then, see you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See ya.
Peace. Before we finish the show, let's talk about some great companies that support the ABV network. First up is Moonshine Still Pro. Moonshine Still Pro has a full line of products to help the home distiller. Whether you want to experiment on the stove in your kitchen or you're looking for a bigger setup in your backyard, owner Russell Creed and his team can help. They have multiple still offerings, accessories, and even grain from their partners at Goldstone Mill to assist you in making whiskey on par with your favorite distillery. They can also help you with some fabricated parts you probably can't make yourself if you are attempting a DIY still project. Learn more or order your still or parts at moonshinestillpro.com. Another friend of ours is the Goldstein family at Goldstone Mill. The Goldsteins offer a variety of heritage and heirloom grains to make the finest whiskeys in the world. Plus, they are more than just a grain company. They are truly consultants to make sure the grains they are providing to you or your business meet your highest expectations. Additionally, they work with mills around the country, ensuring shipping is as low as possible for their customers. If you're a distillery, brewery, or even doing this at home, Goldstone can assist you. Check them out at goldstonemill.com, call them at 217-254-6613, or check in via email at hello@goldstonemill.com. Last but not least, at the top of the show, I mentioned investment opportunities at the new liquor store concept, the ABV Barrel Shop, being launched in 2022 by myself, Jim Fosnot, and Scott Creighton. We are crowdfunding some of the capital needed to open the store. Not only does it offer a return on your investment, but a lifetime of status and benefits at the store. Of course, this investment is a loan and involves a high degree of risk, which may not be suitable for all persons. Prospective investors should carefully evaluate the risk and merits of an investment, should confer with their own legal and financial advisors, and should be able to bear the risk of the loss of their investment before considering the investment described herein. If you would like more information, contact us via the under construction website at abvbarrelshop.com and fill out the form.
The Bourbon Daily is part of the ABV Network. For more information or to become a sponsor, please visit abvnetwork.com. Thanks for listening, and cheers.
This has been a Steve Akeley production.